Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Stoked to be here. Let me know where you are tuning in from the chat. My name is Justin Moore. I'm the founder of Creator Wizard. I'm going to teach you how to find and negotiate your dream sponsorships. Oh, I'm just starting, baby. What's going on?
How are you?
Look at my beautiful wife here. I literally just hit live.
I know, I heard. I just want to say
Oh,
hi.
okay. Love you, honey.
I'm gonna just go. I don't
Okay.
want to bother you.
Yeah,
okay?
no worries. Have fun. I love you.
Love you. Bye bye.
Got April cameo early today. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We've got Red Gill in the TikTok chat. Let me pull up IG. We got Rosie, April. What's going on? Rosie and Brittany. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me pull up the IG chat as well to make sure that is working. There we go. We got Cynthia. What's up, Cynthia? Heather. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. So we're going to be talking about something quite fun today. Well, I don't know about fun. I guess it depends on the way the way you look at it. But we're going to be talking about brand deal red flags today. Because I think, especially when you're starting out as a creator, that's one of the most difficult things to evaluate is whether a particular opportunity that has come to you is legitimate or not. Whether it's a scam, that's one like point to mention. Is like, wow, sometimes you'll get emails in your inbox and be like, oh, I'm so excited, and then you like look more deeply in it, and it's like, wow, they're misspelling a lot of words. Like this seems a little fishy, you know. And so I definitely wanted to bring this up here because this is something that affects a lot of creators. And April and I have been doing this for so many years. I've done this, for so many years through the agency as well. And there definitely are like red flags that you need to look out for and be aware of so you can protect yourself, right? So I'm going to chat through. I have 7 different red flags that I want to talk through. But if you have any questions related to, other red flag questions that you have or brand deals, sponsorships, my time is your time. Every Friday, this is something that, is for you guys, right? And so if you whatever questions you have, just drop it in the chat. So the first brand deal red flag is that if any brand ever asks you to purchase the product to be able to collaborate with them, maybe it's like a discount, like, oh, we're going to give you a 50% off promo code or something to like purchase the item, and then we can collaborate. Like that is a glorified discount. Like that is not a partnership. Any brand who is worth their salt, who is really wanting to like forge a legitimate collaboration with you, they're not going to ask you to buy the product. Buying the product or the getting the product is just icing on the cake. It's not like, oh, you're going to give me a discount. Like you are just basically any other consumer at that point. They're not honoring that you have this like organic distribution channel to talk, to share their product to your audience. And so any legitimate brand, again, is not going to be asking you to buy products from them. That's just definitely an indication of like a shady brand. Thanks, Bryce. Oh, Bryce, we got Bryce in the chat. House Makes Haven. Fernanda tuned in, guys. I wish I had it right now, but I don't. I don't know. I think it's upstairs, but Fernanda is in the chat here, and I was absolutely blown away. I shared this on Twitter and like everywhere and Instagram. I was so excited. Like Fernanda gifted me one of the most meaningful things I could have ever imagined in my life. She gave me a wizard's robe with my Creator Wizard logo embroidered on it. And she mentioned that I was DMing with her, and she mentioned that, at the very end of week 4 of my course, I have this joke in there, this GIF of like the transformation that that everyone has experienced over those 4 weeks. You've gone from like the infomercial of the guy juggling all these items in black and white, like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And then the next, the transformation is now you're the person on the couch with a Snuggie, like going like this, like you're awesome, right? And so it was like kind of an inside joke. And it was just like incredible. Like I truly could not believe it. And so it really, really meant a lot to me. And it was accompanied by like a really meaningful note about how, we've worked together. Yeah. Almost 2 years. She was in my very first cohort. And the kind of things that she has learned along the way allowed her to quit her full-time job and go and be a creator full-time. And so this is the reason I do this, is like to help you guys experience transformations like that. That is what gets me that's what like wakes me up and gets me excited to like jump out of bed every day. And so anyways, like I'm so touched by that, Fernanda. And yeah, she said, I'm so glad you loved it so much. Yeah. So it was just really, really meaningful. So thank you again. Yeah. Melody says, wear your wizard robe one day. Yes. I think I need to I think I need to wear the robe. Although I do get hot when I do these lives. I have these giant lights you probably can't see, but I have this like giant light right here, 2 lights on me, and I get very hot at the end of these lives. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe on like a really cold day. Hey Renee, hey Melody. I'm glad that you're saying about the purchasing of your product. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry about the like a brand deal red flag about purchasing your product. Yeah, that's definitely something that you want to watch out for. Number 2 is if the domain of the email of the person reaching out to you and sending that, this opportunity to you is Gmail, Hotmail, AOL, Centrum.cz. There's like these kind of notorious domains that some of these opportunities will come in from, or it's basically anything other than a legitimate brand domain. And you can do this very easily. Like if an opportunity comes in from you, like name at, brandname.com, like you could easily copy and paste the brand's name in that domain and like go and like visit the website, be like, okay, well, what is this brand all about? If it's like brand manager at gmail.com, like you should know with near certainty that that's not a legitimate opportunity, right? Or if it's like I want to clarify here, yeah, there are some small businesses that they don't have a professional domain and it's like Gmail or something, but I've always been of the belief that like if you are trying to operate a legitimate business, you can't use a Gmail, right? Like you need go pay the $6 a month that it costs to like get your domain that you can be professional and like have brand manager, brand name at, or I mean the person's name at the brand.com. And so again, like I just don't think that's like a legitimate excuse not to have a what's called maybe like a vanity URL, because it just legitimizes your brand. And so any brand that's coming at you from like a Gmail or AOL or Hotmail or something like that is to me a red flag, because it's not 100% of the time. Again, if it's a small business, maybe they're not, and maybe you do still want to work with them. But like for the most part, we don't really entertain any opportunities that come from those types of email addresses. So, so that's another thing to consider. Point number 3 about brand deal red flags is that if they are being evasive about exactly what the deliverables of the partnership are going to be, that is concerning. And so what I mean by evasive is that oftentimes, brands will reach out to you. It's not always malicious. Sometimes they will reach out, they decide, okay, we want to work with creators, we want to work with influencers, but they've never really done it before. They don't really know how it works. And so when they reach out, they basically say, well, we just want to collaborate. Maybe it's just do a few posts on, TikTok, for a few posts on Instagram stories, maybe some stuff on YouTube, blog posts, and so on. Like that's not going to cut it. Okay. Because you need to know very specifically, like how much work you have to do, how many posts specifically, how many posts you have to do. If it's a YouTube video, is it going to be dedicated or is it going to be integrated? If it's on Instagram, is it going to be like a static post, static image carousel? Is it going to be a reel? Is it going to be just stories? Like you have to know like very specific details about what this partnership is going to entail, because otherwise, how can you adequately like put a proposal in front of them, or how are you going to like accurately know how much you should charge them unless you know that information? So if the brand is being evasive about exactly how many posts they want you to do, that is very much a red flag, because you need to know this with certainty. Otherwise, it's going to be like you are going to get into this situation where like you sign this partnership and then it becomes so much more work than you actually expected. Right. And that's like, I have had so many creators like, kind of share these really like terrible experiences with me about how they, got into, this partnership with this brand. And then it became like so much work, and they were, the amount of money that they were being compensated wasn't adequate based on how much work they were. That is like the worst case scenario when you're in the thick of the partnership and you just are, it's like a drag. It's like you can't wait for this partnership to be over because it's like turned into so much more. Oh, sorry. My April is in the car and it turned on my audiobook. Is it connected? That's so funny. So yeah. So the last thing you want is for you to like feel like you can't wait for this partnership to be over because it turned into this kind of like nightmare, right? So you always want to kind of ascertain at the outset of partnerships and really like ensure that you know exactly what's going to be what's going to go down. Point number 4 about brand deal red flags is that if they are asking you to do a trial, and if it goes well, they'll pay you next time, you need to basically treat any promises of future work as basically worthless. A lot of brands will, and agencies will love kind of making these promises like, oh, like we just want to do like a trial partnership initially. This is standard. This is something that we do with every partner. And then, we'll kind of evaluate the success, and then, we'll consider paying you down the line. Like, treat those promises as basically worthless, because there is no, not only like the mindset shift that you need to have about this particular thing is that you have spent a lot of time, probably over several years, building up a very intimate connection with your followers, right? And so why would you hand over the keys to that castle to any random brand? It makes no sense, right? Like, they have to pay for the privilege of accessing that audience. If they want to run ads on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or something like that, do you think Facebook and Instagram and YouTube let them do that for free? No, they have to pay them. They have to pay those platforms to run those ads. It's the same way with your platform. You have this pool of people that is, their ideal potential customer. So they have to pay you for the privilege of accessing them. That is a very, very critical mindset shift to have as a creator, is that you have a very valuable asset that brands want to get in front of. Okay, so you need to be charging for that privilege. Okay. Brittany in the chat here says, I've been seeing so many trial offers lately. Providing case studies helps some, but others just want the free work. And if the education that you are providing to the brands when you're doing, giving them case studies and testimonials and trying to, help them understand why, a trial offer is really unreasonable, like that potentially may just be a brand that you need to walk away from if they're not going to see the value in what you're bringing to the table, right? I'm going to bring the Instagram chat back up here. Rich, we got Rich in the chat. Lily, awesome. Okay, so the fifth item, the fifth brand deal red flag that I wanted to mention here is that if the brand says that they don't want to sign a contract, you should run the opposite direction. So many brands, especially in the beginning, again, a lot of this comes back to like lack of education. Like, a lot of brands will think that creators don't want contracts, or maybe there have been some creators that have been okay with just like agreeing to, oh, we'll use this DM thread as, like proof of the partnership, or, this email trail or whatever. Like, no, don't worry about it, right? Like, no, like, you as a creator need to be the one. If the brand's not volunteering this, you need to be the one to like, hey, like, let's memorialize this with a written agreement. And the point of the written agreement, I actually just released a YouTube video about this called How Brand Deals Actually Work. It's an 8-step, very simple, 8 simple steps of like how, like, start to finish, how brand deals actually, like, how they're executed, right? The pitch, the negotiation, the contract, the concept, the production, the feedback round, the posting, the invoicing. I think I just listed all 8 steps there, but it's going to be 8 steps every single time. It's the same process. And so the contract phase is less about like, oh, like one day I might have to take this brand to court, and like sue them, because of like they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Like, the likelihood that you'll ever bring a brand to court is like so unlikely, because it's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to do that. I actually asked an influencer lawyer, like, how much money would it actually cost to like take a brand to court and potentially try to emerge victorious? And she basically said like $10,000 minimum, right? And so like, your deal has to be worth a lot of money for you to be willing to like take them to court. And again, like, if you're doing very large deals, like, yeah, like that could happen. And so you need to protect yourself. But the purpose of the contract is that when you actually get all of the things that you've agreed to, whether it's verbally over the phone or written in the email, you actually memorialize that in a written agreement, and you both sign on the dotted line. It brings a heightened level of accountability and responsibility to both parties. Okay. And, that in and of itself, doing that exercise is so incredibly important, and it helps eliminate a lot of the miscommunication that happens during the execution of the partnership. So, you have to get you really want to get all that stuff ironed out before you do any work, right? Because it's like, if they have one set of expectations and then you see the agreement, right? And it's just like, oh, like, no, that's actually not the way in which I thought this partnership was going to work. You have to make sure that you iron that out beforehand, right? Because otherwise, like, you're going to get into the middle of the partnership, you like are in production, and they're like, whoa, like, that's not what we had in mind. We thought you were going to be doing it this way or filming this many videos or blah, 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 blah. And be like, no, like that's not what we agreed to, And so you never want to get into that situation where it's like, you're starting to like try to redo the negotiation halfway through it. Like, that's terrible. That's like really, really not good, not good practice. And so if you ever have a brand who is trying to like be like, oh, don't worry, we don't need a contract, either you insist on it and say, hey, like, I only do partnerships where, I have a signed contract. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, this opportunity is not going to be a good fit. And if they say, okay, well, like, we're not going to do a contract, like, you have to be like comfortable walking away from that. I know that's hard sometimes, especially if it's like, like a significant amount of money. But I can't even tell you how many times this has happened early on to my wife and I, where we just weren't protected, and like, to be fair, like in the early days, like it was the Wild West. Like, people didn't know like contracts, like influencer contracts, like how do you actually make a contract for that? And so it's like, we did a lot of deals without contracts in the beginning. And so many times, like, these things came up and it bit us in the butt. And it was just like, oh my God, we're never going to be doing, like, here's a good example of something that can oftentimes happen where it's like a very quick turnaround time campaign, even for big brands, big agencies. And it's like, oh, we got to get this post live by like next week. Like, can you shoot in the next 24 hours? Like, seriously, like, brands, this happens sometimes, right? And April and I have always been like, yeah, boom, we can do this. But like, what inevitably can sometimes happen is that, the contract gets held up in like the legal team and they don't get it sent to you in time. And then you like make the post, and then like some like deal breaker comes up during the like contract negotiation where it was like, no, like, I'm not going to give you usage for that amount of time, or I'm not going to agree to that amount of exclusivity, or, I'm not, net payment, net 90 doesn't work for me, or whatever it is, something, right? Or maybe like the brand like comes back with these like crazy revision requests or whatever. Like, no, like, before you begin production, that's the most critical thing. Is like, maybe you can submit concepts and like, all this stuff, but before you hit record on anything, or before you take those photos or record that video or do anything like that, especially before you publish the post, oh my goodness, right? You have to get a signed and countersigned agreement. What I mean by that is that you have to sign it, but you also actually have to receive a countersigned agreement from the brand before you do anything. Okay? So very, very critical. Fernanda in the IG chat said here, if a brand doesn't have a contract, do you have one that you send over to seal the deal? Or is that really their responsibility, like a landlord with a lease? It's a great question, Fernanda, and one I get a lot. I always believe that you as a creator should have a contract template that you have either hired a lawyer for, to create for you, like a boilerplate, contract template. And it's something as simple as like, you don't edit anything in the first, 6 pages of the contract. And then the 7th page is the very last page, and it's the appendix, right? And it's basically outlining everything that you agreed to, the deliverables, the usage rights, the exclusivity, right? You actually outline all that. And that's the only like page of that contract template that you edit before you send to the brand. You need to have something, because in this scenario, this has actually happened to us. This actually happens to us sometimes, even now, where the brand approaches us and they're just like, hey, we want to do this thing, but we don't really have a contract that we use. This is usually the case for brands who haven't worked with influencers a lot. And so like, this literally has happened to us within the last like 6 months. And so like, we have a contract template that we have hired a lawyer to do, to create for us. And that's the thing that we send, and they're like, okay, sounds good. And they sign it. Right. And so it's like, it behooves you to invest in, getting, and again, maybe you don't have a brand deal in your hand right now that like justifies like going out and hiring a lawyer to like make that for you, but it is like the best investment to make as a creator to like have something like that in hand, because you don't want to be caught flat-footed and be like, oh, well, like, no, I don't have a template, but I still want to work with you. Like, can you make one? And if they're telling you like, we don't have one, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to like walk away from the deal? Like, I don't know. And so, by the way, Fernanda, if you don't have a template and you need one, this is something that I have in the resources section of my course, and I know you have access to that. So, again, these templates have been like vetted by lawyers and everything too. So it's like, I'm not a lawyer, so I make that very clear. Like, you should retain a lawyer for any agreements. Like, just make that disclosure. But if you need one, Fernanda, and you don't have one, just go check the resources section of the course. Anyways, so yes, contracts is very important. There was another question about contracts. Yeah, Melody said, you're so right. I would rather walk away than to deal with a brand and have a bad experience. Yeah, it's really, really critical. Yeah, and Rose, Brittany says it's wild that some brands don't want to use contracts, right? I don't understand it either. It's just like, wouldn't you as the brand want to be protected also? Like, I don't know. That's always kind of like blown my mind as well. Hey, Marcus, we got Marcus tuning in. How's it going, Marcus? We got I Make Keychains in the TikTok chat. Thank you for tuning in. She's saying, oh, I'm kind of in this situation now, but they have incentives at the moment that are good. Seems like I need to watch the YouTube video. Yes. Oh, the YouTube video I was mentioning about like the 8 steps. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to DM me on Instagram after this live, I can send you the video, or it's like my most recent YouTube video that I just released a few days ago. So definitely go check it out. We got Jessica for Forest NR in the TikTok chat. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so brand deal red flag. So brand deal red flag number 6 is that if they are asking you to not disclose the partnership or obscure the fact that it was paid in any way, that is a big red flag, because some brands will do this. They'll be like, oh, like, don't say sponsored, don't say ad, just say like, oh, we worked with this brand or whatever. Like, they're trying to like hide the fact that you were actually compensated for this. That is a big red flag, because like the FTC in the United States is the Federal Trade Commission. And if you live in other countries, or, there's usually some sort of regulatory body that mandates that you have to do some sort of disclosure to indicate to your followers that there was an exchange of value, whether it was a gifted collaboration or whether you were compensated. Like, you have to disclose. And so if there's a brand that you're communicating with and they send you the brief and it's like very shady in the way in which they're saying, oh, like, don't use the paid partnership disclosure tool on Instagram, or don't, say hashtag ad, or whatever they're saying, like, it is completely within your right as a creator. And you should be doing this, where you basically push back and you say like, hey, thank you. I just reviewed this, or, I appreciate that you're sharing this with me, but it's very important to me. And in fact, the FTC is very clear about the fact that, I need to disclose that this was a paid partnership. Please let me know, confirm that you're comfortable with the way in which I disclose my posts, because I want to make sure that we are. Otherwise, this is not a partnership that I'm going to be able to move forward with. You need to be able to say that to the brand and be comfortable of the fact that, hey, maybe they're going to walk away if you're like putting your foot down on this fact. But like, your first and foremost, your responsibility as a creator is to be in compliance with the FTC. It's not just, or, whatever body it is. It's not just the brands that have to do this. You are too. The FTC has actually come down on other influencers and imposed monetary damages on certain creators who have not made proper partnership disclosures. And so I understand, hey, this is money. You may think, oh, I'm not going to get, it's only the Kim Kardashians of the world who are going to get in trouble. No, like, there have been smaller influencers who have gotten in trouble with this kind of thing. Usually it's like, like 50 influencers were part of this like one campaign, and everyone gets like, basically flagged for that. And so, like, can you imagine jeopardizing your entire creator business, the entire trajectory of your creator career by one small little partnership that the brand was just like, insistent that you didn't like properly disclose it? Like, no, it's not worth it. Like, you have to have this longer term mindset that, like this is just not going to be worth it, even if it's like a small little payday here. And again, I don't want to minimize, like, this is money. I understand, like, even a few $100s is meaningful. Like, that pays, your car note, or that pays for groceries the week, or whatever it is. Like, I understand that it's money, but you absolutely, do you want to jeopardize your entire income potential as a creator by this one thing, that this brand is asking you to do? It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Okay. Let me take a swig. We got King Throne in the TikTok chat. We got Tara's Handmade Home in IG. We got Berry Custard Pie. That's a cool name. Do you make berry custard pie? Is that like your thing? That sounds delicious. Okay. Let me know in the chat what your questions are, because I'm going to dive into Q&A shortly, but I do have one more kind of obvious point about brand deal red flags, which is that you have to walk away if something just doesn't feel right. I think we've all experienced this, where it's just like in our gut, in the bottom of our gut, we're just like talking with this brand. Maybe we've been on the phone with them, maybe not. Maybe it's just over email, but we're just kind of like looking at their profiles, looking at their website, trying to understand if they've ever partnered with other influencers before. And it's just like something seems off. It's just like, I don't know, like this seems weird. They're asking me to like give them my checking account and routing number. No, not that, but obviously that's going to be a scam. But like, there are certain situations. Actually, let me know in the chat if you have, ever experienced something like that, where the brand just said this one thing and it seemed like, wow, this is weird. Like no brand has ever asked me that before. I don't really know. Like this just seems weird. Let me know if that's ever like happened to you, because like it's definitely happened to my wife and I in the past, and it was just like that was an indicator for us to kind of like walk away, take a few steps back from that. I think the biggest and most important thing to take away from this whole conversation about brand deal red flags is that like you are completely within your right as a creator to ask clarifying questions, because like you could say like, hey, I know you said this to me, like don't disclose this properly, or you don't need a contract, or, I know you said, you don't know how many posts this partnership is going to actually entail. Like, I know you are saying that, but I need you to be clear for me, like the best analogy that I can give here is that working with a brand is exactly the same as a job interview. When you're in a job interview, they're asking you questions, but you also need to be asking them questions to ensure that this job is going to be a good fit for you. And if you're not asking that person, that employer, that brand qualifying questions to help you understand whether this is going to be a good fit for you, you're going to get into that job and be miserable. And that's the last thing that you want. So it's exactly the same way a lot of creators feel like, oh, I can't ask questions to the brand because like they're going to get like, they're going to like not want to work with me. They're going to pull the deal off the table if I question them in any way. Like, no, like you have to understand, like this is your platform and you need to protect your integrity, right? And you need to protect the connection that you have with your audience. Are you going to like shill any random brand to your audience? No, because then your audience is going to be like, seriously, like you're really like, like going to be talking about this brand? Like, I don't know. They seem pretty shady to me. Do you want your followers to go through this experience where they go and, buy this product that you're, talking about on your platform, and then they have a terrible experience? Right? Because you have, in essence, given your stamp of approval on this product and this brand. And so anytime, if your followers go and ultimately make a purchase or support this brand that you told them to support, and they have a bad experience, they're going to like, it's going to kind of rub off on you. And they're going to be like, wow, like Justin told me to go buy that brand or use this software to buy this product or whatever, and it sucked. Like, I don't know. That wasn't a great experience. I'm not going to trust Justin's recommendations as much in the future. Has that ever happened to you? So just something to think about. Like, that is a lens that you need to view every opportunity through, because it does reflect on you and your business. Okay. We got Knowledge Quiz in the TikTok chat. A big brand wants to work with me to be their creator for TikTok. Awesome. And they want full usage of my image and videos in perpetuity, and I'm not comfortable with that. Am I being reasonable to be uncomfortable with use of my image and videos in perpetuity? It's a great question. And so the setup that you are describing is something that's called a work for hire situation. So this is a little bit different than when a brand comes to you and says, hey, talk about us on your platform, right? And you're going to actually be, posting about us and everything on your, on your platform that you own. In that scenario, usually what the, usage rights and that kind of like the language of the agreement looks like is that you are granting them a non-exclusive license to your name and likeness because it's on your platform. And it's not going to be perpetual because it's your platform. And they have no control over that, right? If you want to they can say like you have to keep the content up for 3 months, 6 months, a year, but it's going to be finite because ultimately it's your platform. In your scenario where they're talking about, hey, we actually want to hire you to create content that lives on our platforms and it's going to be work for hire, it's actually not uncommon for them to own it outright forever. And you just have to understand that like that is a completely different type of scenario, and you should be charging a lot more money for that. If you are not comfortable with that type of work relationship, like you may just need to walk away from the opportunity, but just you have to realize and understand that like this is like reasonable for them to ask that of you, because again, like the content is going to live on their platform forever. You are basically delivering a service for them. It's like I'm assuming you're not going to be posting on your page, right? And so for the privilege of them, you being connected with their brand and kind of delivering this service to them, like my wife and I have done this many times. Like we have created content for brands and they own it, right? They can do whatever, essentially whatever they want with it, but we're going to charge them a lot more money for that privilege, if that makes sense. So generally, I always say like, you never want to grant a brand anything in perpetuity, unless it's a work for hire relationship where it is completely, that is the whole point of it, is that you're delivering some sort of service to them that they are going to be using on their platforms, their, website, whatever. Oftentimes they will want to own that outright. And in reality, the other thing that I want to mention here is that like most brands there is a shelf life for content, right? The likelihood of them using it in 15 years is like unlikely, right? So they just want to be able to, like, if they're going to hire you to do this and it lives on their platforms, you're not even posting on your platforms, right? It's not unreasonable. Again, I'm saying like for them to want access to that, to basically own that asset. And so again, it's like, it comes down to a personal choice that you have to make for yourself, is that type of setup where you are being, hired in essence by this brand to create content in-house for them. Like it's not unreasonable for them to ask for that. And if you are not comfortable with that, maybe that's just an opportunity that you walk away from. So hopefully that's helpful. Brittany has a question in the YouTube chat. Question regarding charging for paid media and whitelisting. If they want to run ads across numerous platforms like Google, TikTok, do you charge more than 15%? Same thing with whitelisting. If it's on more than Instagram, do you charge more than 25%? Like, do you charge even more than, or do you ever charge more than 25%? I have also seen 5% of ad spend up to 50%. Do you also charge for additional usage on owned and operated platforms like website, or is it included in the paid media 15%? So the great question, Brittany. So what Brittany is kind of asking, like kind of granular details around like how do you what is the mechanics of like what you charge for and what you don't charge for the brand to repurpose it on different platforms. So the way I've always looked at it is that I have a video on my YouTube channel if any of you are curious about the dynamics of like how much you should be charging for usage rights. And usage rights, for those of you guys who don't know, it's basically like what can the brand do with your content? Like, can they repost it? Can they use it for paid advertising and so on? And so the rule of thumb that I've always shared is that, if the brand wants to amplify your content that you've posted natively on your page, which is called whitelisting, then that's 25% of the base deal size per month. And so if the deal is $1,000, you're going to be charging them $250 additional dollars per month. So if it's 2 months additional, whitelisting privileges, that's going to be a $1,500 deal. And if they're just licensing the content, they're not actually natively or they're not boosting your native post on your platform, and they just want to put it on their website or use it for paid advertising and so on, then that's going to be 15% of the base deal size per month. And so Brittany's question is well, what about if they want to do it on like different platforms and all this stuff? And I've always looked at social media and digital usage as a catch-all for that, percentage. And so whether they use it on TikTok or whether they use it on IG, as long as they're compensating you for digital usage, I look at that, percentage that you're charging as a every 30-day period is like a catch-all. So wherever they kind of want to repurpose it, they're compensating you for that. However, if they want to be using your content in other ways that are not online, basically not on the internet, such as, print in a magazine, or such as on a billboard or something, or like a bus bench or something, like that definitely is going to be a different investment or different fee that you have to charge them. And so it's just like, I have never, and the other question you mentioned about like a percentage of ad spend. And so what that means is that maybe the brand is going to be spending $50,000 of additional money to amplify the content. And so like, you're actually getting a percentage of that ad spend. Like this is, again, like it's a very, 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 very small percentage of brands or agencies are going to be willing to compensate you in that way. But it does happen. Like sometimes brands will do that if you ask, but most are not going to do that. And so it's like a very complicated thing to try to negotiate, because sometimes the brand doesn't know how much money they're going to put behind, behind the post. And so like, I hope that answers your question here, which is like, I try to keep it quite simple when we're doing these types of additional usage, because the other thing too is like, if the brand is compensating you, like you want to actually create custom content, like you can also build into this partnership that, look, they're hiring you to create this custom content, giving them additional rights to like repurpose it is important. But like, at the end of the day, you don't also want to be kind of like nickel and diming them. Be like, okay, like to do it on IG, it's going to be this much. To do it on TikTok, it's going to be this much. To embed it on your website, it's going to be this much, right? So it's like that is not a great feeling as a brand or an agency to like nickel and dime them. Again, you want to capture the value as a creator yourself, of course, but it's just like, so you want to like make it not too complicated for them to like obtain those additional rights. And so whatever that value is, or whatever that percentage above and beyond the content creation fee that you want to charge them, like fine, like do whatever you want to do. But like a la carting, making it a la carte and being like, it's going to be like boom, 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 boom. Like the brand is just like, oh my God, just give me a number. Like, I don't care like what you charge me, just like tell me what the number is. Right. And so like that's how I kind of like, if you want to have your back of the napkin math of like how you're charging it internally. And I know, Brittany, you're working and kind of managing other influencers now. Like if you want to do that internally, that's fine, but just like simplify it for the brand of the agency. Oftentimes they don't care. They're just like, just give me a number, right? However much you want to charge me, it's fine, right? So that's kind of the way I approach it and look at it. Oh, we got my boo in the chat. Hey, baby, what's going on? Sam, what's up? The showcase joined. What's going on, man? Hello, Amber B. What's going on? We got Farhan, Callie, Coupon Chick, Stages of Gray. Debbie, what's going on? Debbie was in my most recent cohort of my Brand Deal Wizard course. So thanks for tuning in. And Brittany says, yeah, that is way easier. And that's why you are the best. I appreciate that so much. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm glad that was helpful. Man, we got 10 viewers on TikTok now. What is going on, y'all? My TikTok, I just hit 2,000 followers on TikTok, y'all. I'm very TikTok is like my pet project right now. And I've been very excited about the growth. I mean, 2,000 may not seem like a lot for most people, but like I've been very diligently trying to post at least once a day on TikTok, and I've been loving it. So I appreciate you guys tuning in there. Okay, Marcus has a question. If I were to talk to a brand for far outside my regular niche, for example, kitchen gear, based on successful Amazon videos, what are some tips? So what I would advise you to do if you do want to start branching out into other types of content, Marcus, I would advise you to start making that type of content organically on Amazon or on your platforms. Right. So like, it's going to be very difficult to approach a brand and being like, hey, like, I want to partner with you. And like, here's my profile. Here's an example of my content. And then it's like you talking about like, telecommunications, like conference, like phone systems, right? I know you do that. Right. And so it's like, you need to give them a warm and fuzzy feeling that you have some level of expertise in this niche that you're trying to pitch them on. All right. So if you want to work with like, brands who are in the kitchen gear, you need to make some streams about kitchen products, right? And then you can send it to them and be like, hey, like I can do this. I already talk about this. My fault. Like that's the point, is like they need to understand that like people follow you for that type of product, because they're not going to, they want to know that like you have some authority, you have some influence to like, convince people to buy that type of product. And if you don't have any content like that, it's an example I often give to like family creators like on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. They're always like, how come I never get food deals? I see so many like other parent influencers like get food opportunities or whatever. And then I look at their feed and they don't post about food at all. So it's like, it's no wonder, like why would a brand land on your profile and like think that they should hire you for a food opportunity? They look at your pictures and they look at your videos and they're like, oh, like clearly people don't follow this person for food recommendations. So why would they hire you? So that's like the easiest recommendation I have is like, if you want like more of a certain type of deal, go start posting content about that type of product, right? Because the brand is not going to be able to envision what it would be like to partner with you. Right? I make keychain said 2,000 is a win. Thank you. Yes, 2,000 followers on TikTok is a win. I appreciate you. Thank you. Vivian, what's going on? Hey, I just connected with you on TikTok and IG. So nice to have you in the IG chat. Oh my gosh. Brittany just gave me a super sticker. A $10 super sticker saying, it says pair character bowing down saying thank you. Oh, it describes it. I can't actually see it because I'm not on YouTube, but Brittany gave me a super sticker. So thank you, Brittany. I always, those of you guys who tune in every week, you know that your super stickers, your super chats, wherever you like donate from, that always goes to our Friday date night. April and I have a date night in. It's also a movie night for the kids. So we always order dinner on Fridays. And so your donations always go towards that. And I appreciate it so much, Brittany. I'm glad that that was helpful. Let's see. Oh, we got El Jefe. We got El Jefe in the house. What's going on, man? He said, yeah, act like a partner before you ask for a partnership. Prove that value first. I appreciate the insight. Yes, thank you so much. Like that is like one of the most like profound realization and mindset shifts that you can have as a creator is that like you have to help the brand envision why you're a good partner for them. A lot like, so I did a consulting call with a creator. I do these one-on-one calls with creators sometimes. And I think that's like sometimes the hardest thing to understand when you're doing pitching, when you're pitching brands and reaching out and trying to forge these partnerships is that like so often we have this tendency to like make it me focus. It's like, hey, this is me. This is my platform. This is my audience. This is the demographics, like yada, yada, yada. And the brand is just like, right? They just like fall asleep because it's just like, how is that relevant and important to them in any way? No. And so like the moment that you shift your pitches to be about like them, and it's like, hey, I just saw you, ran this campaign. I saw this article about how, brands in your industry and your vertical are succeeding on TikTok, or I would love to do like this for you because I think that it would help you reach this type of audience that it doesn't seem like you're targeting right now. Like that is just such a mindset shift for the brands of like why they should pay attention and why they should, potentially partner with you, where it's like, now it's less about you and it's all about them. You're trying to help them accomplish and achieve some sort of business objective. Right? So it's a totally different way to look at it. So I'm glad that that was helpful for you, El Jefe. Oh, we got Molly. Molly, thanks so much for tuning in, Molly. Molly was in my most recent Brand Deal Wizard cohort as well. So those of you guys, one of the things that my most favorite things that I love is that when you guys take the course and then you're like always in the live chats. Right? It's like you're part of the tribe now, part of the family. And so it's like you guys show up every week and drop all these gems here too. We got Sheetal tuning in too. So happy to catch you in a live. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. So let me know what questions you got, all about sponsorships, all about brand deals, negotiations. Quick update, y'all, about my my new mission of how I'm going to be helping creators big and small land 1 million sponsorships by 2032. Those of you guys who don't know it, I've got this LED ticker right here above my shoulder. You probably can't see it in the TikTok chat, but I've got this LED ticker right behind me that is going to be counting up. It's going to be a running tally of all of the sponsorships that I've helped facilitate in this community. And it's not just people in my courses, it's anyone. If I've impacted you through one of my videos or my newsletter, or, maybe you are on my courses or whatever. I want to help everyone win in this community. And there's so much money. There's so much opportunity to go around for everyone. And so I'm so excited for this project because I've got the wheels in motion. I wanted to share this cool story because I've been feeling very anxious because it's like, I want to get this project launched as soon as possible. I want this ticker to be active right now. I want there to be a number on there right now, but I don't have it ready. Right. And so I have been feeling anxious about it because I've been so busy running the courses, like, running, doing the newsletter every week, doing my content, like just doing my wife and, opportunities for my wife and I, doing Amazon Live. I'm just so busy. I have 2 small boys, 4 and 7. It's just like, the family side of it. It's just like the work-life balance is difficult. Right. And so it's just like, I've got all these projects that I want to do. And so it's like, I had the most amazing thing happen to me where someone reached out and did this incredible cold pitch to me. It was this kid basically fresh out of college, and he had been following me on Twitter, following my newsletter, following all this stuff. His name was George, and he did this basically pitch like, hey, like the pitch was basically like, like, I love what you're doing. Like, I think you're providing so much tremendous value. Do you have any job openings? Right? Like, are you hiring? Like, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to help, be a person who is like spreading the word of the Creator Wizard brand and mission and all that stuff. And I basically said, I'm not hiring right now. I don't have any full-time or part-time jobs, but I've got this project with this project, the Million Sponsorships project, where I want to like create this leaderboard, this website, to help track all of this so that we can, like how we're going to actually make this happen. Like how are creators going to sign up for it. And so it's like, I view it as this kind of like finite project that I just need to get done. And I just need, it's going to, require like, so basically the long story short is I hired a developer. Like a couple of weeks ago to help me start designing this leaderboard and how it's all going to work and how are people going to sign up. Like eventually what I want people to, just like sign up for it, authenticate your YouTube or your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever. And then you don't have to do anything. It's going to automatically, every time you post a sponsored post, like hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored, like the code in the back end will detect that. And it'll be like, oh yeah, okay, this post counts towards the challenge or whatever. And then it automatically tallies it. That'll be down the line, but V1 is going to be like, you'll just create an account. And then every time you do a sponsorship, you go in and you just like add the sponsored link in there. And so we know that like, that's a sponsorship. Right. And so like, that's kind of the MVP or the minimal viable product to like get this thing launched. And so it's like, that takes time. Like the developers over here, like hounding me, like, give me feedback. Here's like this. And I'm just like, I don't have time to like do all this. And so I said, George, what do you think? I just sent him like a Loom video. I made this little Loom video and I showed him the site and like kind of the mock-up and the template and everything. And I was like, would you be willing to like help me get this thing launched? We'll pay you, whatever, like we'll figure out like a payment, how we're going to do this. And he was like, I'm in. Right. And so it was like beautiful. It was like, you never know, like he shot his shot. And look at that. Like, who knows where this relationship is going to lead to, but I was just so impressed with his initiative and the pitch that he did. And he had some experience working with like kind of a creator economy startup and stuff. So he had some kind of growth hacky experience and stuff right out of school. And so that was exactly the type of person that I was like needed to like help me kind of think through this and figure out how we, how we do this and all that stuff. So yeah, it was brilliant and I'm just so excited about it. And, so like long story short, all this to say, like, don't like, you should always shoot your shot, whether it's to a creator that you really admire and you basically say to them like, hey, I love what you're doing. I would love to help you in any projects that you're working on. Maybe you want to launch a merchandise line. Maybe you want to do XYZ, yada, 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 whatever it is, you shoot your shot. You never know what's going to happen. Like creators will always prefer hiring people from their own community than some random person that they hire on the internet. Like, because you already get it. You already understand them. You're already like, intimately familiar with their business and the type of content that they do and all this stuff. Right. And so it's like, why not shoot your shot? And the same like logic holds for brands, right? You never know, like whether maybe that brand has always wanted to like tackle TikTok, or they've always wanted to tackle YouTube, or, they want to understand whatever, et cetera, that some like thing that you pitch them and they're like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, yes, I'm so glad you reached out. The timing is perfect for this. Or maybe they say, hey, like, we're not ready for this right now, but this is something that we want to do in 2022. So like, let's keep the conversation going and like, let's circle back in 3 months when we've got more budget to explore this, or yada, yada, yada. I say this over and over, like the point of a pitch is not to get the deal. The point of a pitch is to get on their radar so that when they are ready to work with you, you instantly come to mind. And this is something that I hammer like over and over and over in my courses, is like, it's that like, you should not get dejected when they say to you, hey, we don't have, like, we're not working with influencers in a paid capacity right now. Like, that's fine. Like, you are on their radar now, and you should continue to start like following up with them, because when they do have an opportunity for you, you will come to mind. Right. And so it's this mindset shift around when you do pitches. It's not about getting the deal instantly. Right. That's not the point. Okay. DMAC in the chat said, what level of subscribers and followers do brands generally seek before signing a deal? It's a great question. I get this one a lot. And in my experience, it completely varies. Like some brands will have these very arbitrary like thresholds, like, oh, we only want to work with creators who are over 50,000 followers, or we're only, you have to minimum 10,000 followers or whatever. But in my experience, more and more brands don't give a crap, because like it's a very clear, it's a very common occurrence where you will have two creators with the same level of following. Let's say like 10,000, let's say 10, both people have 10,000 followers, but like one creator gets like 3 times the amount of performance and engagement and views or whatever as the other person. And so like following is not a good proxy anymore for how like well you'll perform in a partnership with a brand. In addition to that, like the point of a partnership may not always be about these vanity metrics, right? It may not always be about impressions or views or likes or comments or whatever, right? And like so many creators get into this trap where it's like, that's the only value that I have to bring to a brand. What if the point of the partnership, DMAC, is that you're going to create content that lives on their platforms? And so at that point, like it has no bearing how many followers you have on your page, right? And so I really encourage you to like not. There are more and more brands getting wise to this, and the reason this is so critical is that like some of you may have already gotten these like totally shady messages or emails from these like, people claiming like, oh, just pay us $50 and we'll get you 5,000 followers, or pay us $50 a month and we'll get you this many likes on every single photo or views on YouTube or whatever. It's like fraudulent, completely fraudulent, shady. I hope none of you have done that, bought followers, bought likes. If you ever get that message, just ignore it, delete it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Trust me. But it's like brands know they're getting wise to the fact that like, you could just buy followers. So what is the purpose of like this vanity metric? Like it has no bearing like on, right? So like the indicator is like, you see people with like 100,000 followers and they get like 5 likes on their photos or whatever. Right. And again, like I understand like the organic reach that you have is going lower and lower on a lot of these platforms. So it's not like, that's not like a completely like robust way to determine that if someone has bought followers. But like, again, like brands are just getting wiser to this. They have software tools that they can use to actually determine whether people have, there are like algorithmic patterns that you can identify to really like fundamentally understand who's like doing fraudulent behavior. And so like, that's definitely something that brands like subscribe to and all that stuff too. So again, like it wouldn't be something that I would worry about. Like just make the best possible quality content, focus on engaging with your following, just being consistent. Like that is what's going to get you on brands' radar, not like the high level following. And yeah, there may have been brands who have said to you like, oh, like, yeah, come back to us when you get 5,000 followers or whatever. And like, okay, like if that's all they care about, and like, I don't know what to tell you, like maybe that's not going to be the best brand partner for you. Hopefully that's helpful. We got, Blevin Dusk in the chat. Tailor your pitches to the problems that the brands have. You need to have value in their eyes. Think about why would a brand want to reach out to you in the first place? They need your reach. And No Fury says, I have under 50,000 and decent engagement, and I've made around $6,000 on a brand deal. Congrats. Right? There we go. Marcus in the chat said, my first sponsored video went live last week. Now I want to be on the counter. Yes, absolutely. I'm like, this is going to be retroactive. So like, the moment that this thing is up and live and ready, like if you like from the moment you first started watching me or like watching my content, being in this community, if you feel as though I have helped you in any way get a opportunity, get a sponsorship, then that counts. Like you can put that in as a sponsorship. Like I would be honored for you to like feel as though you want this post to like count towards the total. So that really means a lot to me. So thank you. Hey, what's up, Hannity? We got Hannity in the chat too. Hey, Justin, I just want to double check. If a brand says that they have the rights to use and repurpose talent's video on any other websites, channels, and platforms and digital ads, is that whitelisting? So the difference between that is those are different things. Whitelisting is where they actually, you grant them access to the back end of your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. Pardon me. And they will actually boost your native posts. So you make a post on your page, and then they'll put, in the back end, they'll put, $10,000 or whatever, and actually boost that post that you made. And so when a person is swiping in their Instagram feed, let's say, for example, and they see, it'll say sponsored, right? That person may not be following you, but the brand boosted it so that person would see it. And so they're not seeing it like, oh, on the brand's handle. It's like, no, it's your handle and the post that you made on your page. That is whitelisting. And that's something that you should be charging more for. But if they say that they just want to, repurpose it on the, other websites, channels, and digital ads, that's just licensing. That's different. And that's, generally, like I said in my video, it's usually 15% of the base deal size for every 30-day period. And then the whitelisting, where they're actually, you're granting them access, that's going to be the 25% every 30-day period. Hopefully that's helpful. Sheetal said, your advice has helped me so much. I've learned how to talk to the brands better when they send a proposal. I'm still learning, but thank you so much for all the knowledge you share. Sheetal, I'm so glad that you're finding that helpful. And yeah, like that's why I'm here. That's why I show up every single weekend. You know what's interesting? I wanted to make this comment, which is that one very interesting development after having done these live streams every single week for so long, I think it's been over a year now that I do it every single week, is that going live on the internet and just showing up and turning the camera on has become so much easier. Before, I used to stress about it. I used to be like, oh, what am I going to talk about? What if people don't ask questions? I'm just going to be sitting there with dead silence and what do I talk about? Right. And all this stuff. Right. And that was very much, I felt the imposter syndrome. I felt are really people going to tune in to learn about sponsorships and brand deals every week? Really? I don't know. This seems kind of a niche topic. Are people really going to do that? And over time of just doing this over and over and over and showing up every single week, this has become just second nature to me, to just turn on the camera, to talk about this. I have learned so much about presenting and sharing knowledge. And so I wanted to say that, because I think a lot of people, they get very intimidated by sharing their knowledge, and especially doing live streams and things like this, where it's just I don't know what to talk about. Obviously, I have a theme when I start the live stream. It's today's theme is brand deal red flags, right? But so that helps kind of get the juices flowing, and I have something to talk about for the first 10 minutes as people start trickling in or whatever. But after that, I'm not answering your questions. I'm here for you guys because I really want to serve you. And so it's it has gotten so much easier over time. And I really think that message or that philosophy carries over into all of you, where it's just if you're feeling anxious about posting content or feeling anxious about being consistent or whatever, I am a walking proof that being consistent, showing up week over week, and just going through the motions and doing this, even sometimes when you may not be feeling it. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm just drained. My cup is empty, but it's just I have made this commitment that I'm going to be here and I'm going to do it and I'm going to serve you guys. And so just I really do feel that level of mindset of service is what is going to make you successful over the long run. I feel very convinced that is the path to success, is just showing up. Even if you're not at your best, there are days where I'm not feeling it, and I'm just I don't know, people I don't know if people found value in this. I don't know, maybe my answers kind of sucked or whatever. But and then there's sometimes where I'm just boom, yes, I was on it. I was in the zone, and that's oftentimes tied to the stress level that I'm feeling, and how stressed I'm out, with, the courses and everything else that I'm working on. And it's just oh, I got to do the live stream, but now it's I don't feel like that ever. Lately, it's I have shifted my mindset to be more no, I love doing this because it's my one time to truly throughout the week, intimately connect with you, share the things that I'm working on behind the scenes. And so it's just now it's not about oh, I got to do this. It's no, I get to do this. Right. So it's I don't know, it's kind of this mindset shift, I think, that's really critical of what we all do, sharing content, sharing our life, and sharing our expertise. This is something we get to do, not that we have to do. Right. No Fury said, yes. Do you do these every Friday? Yes, I do these every single Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I do these every single week. So I've been doing these every single week for a very long time. By the way, another behind the scenes development. One thing that I'm really excited to do is I am going to be taking all of my archived live streams and editing them. Well, I'm not going to be doing it. My team member Russell is going to be helping me, but we're going to be turning these into podcast episodes, because so many of you guys have messaged me like, oh man, I wish I could just like listen to these live streams, like, you know, as podcasts or whatever. I'm in the car or whatever. And so I'm going to be kind of lightly editing them and then posting them. I had a podcast called Sponsored Post Podcast that I had launched for my agency, and it was kind of more marketer focused and things like that. But I'm going to be revitalizing that podcast and putting a lot of the live streams that I do on the podcast. And so let me know in the chat, does that sound interesting and exciting to you guys to be able to have these in like a podcast format? Because that's like another project that we're working on, and I think that would be helpful to some people. Oh my goodness. Creator Mansion just shared my live video. Creator Mansion, boom. Thank you. That's so kind of you. Like, I didn't even know you could do that on TikTok. That's so cool. No Fury says, oh my gosh, I'll invite friends. I didn't know that. Yes. Every Friday, every single Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I do this. So if you want to invite some friends and make this a party, I appreciate that so much. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're already at time. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. And Brittany, thank you so much again for the super sticker. Like, means so much to me. That will I think that'll pay for one cocktail maybe. So there's this one place that we can get like sangria. They do takeout sangria, which is like mind blowing. They have like the best sangria. So I think that's what I'm going to allocate that to. So anyways, thank you so much all again. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next time.